Yo, it's me again, back again. Madara 28, bring you another discussion / review of One Piece chapter 1046. Very dope chapter, but a lot of very setup heavy as well. I was on a stream with Virgo. Shout out to Virgo, Toddy, Jay Hudson, and a few of the other guys got to be seen. We were chatting on Virgo's channel for almost like 2 hours, going back and forth about the events of everything from chapter 1037 until now, talking about the whole fire scene, how it took too long, which I did agree with Virgo. It didn't really take too much away from the chapter for me. Maybe we could have got more of Luffy versus Kaido. But I'd say what I like about the chapter, starting off, is I like the overall power set that Oda seems to be giving Luffy. We know last chapter he did name two of his moves. He said Gum Gum Giant and Gum Gum Jump Rope. So, but other than that, like at the beginning of this chapter, Luffy's like, okay, what should this attack be called? You know, because we know that he did his back in the day in the pre-time skip. He was going to call it Gum Gum Twister. When he spun around, but he got dizzy and fell over. But he was training against Ace when he was a kid. And so now we see that he does the same attack in Gear 5 and he lands it on Kaido, someone who has future sight. But he hit Kaido square in the face. So Luffy's still trying to figure out his power set, his move set, what to call his attacks. Because obviously it's his first time using Gear 5th. We know pre-time skip innings lobby, he had already thought of Gear 2nd and Gear 3rd. One from when he lost against Ao. Kiji also when he saw, not Geppo, but when he saw Soru from CP9. And so he was already thinking of a way to combat that, to counterattack it. And so that was pretty cool. And then the next best part for me was when Kaido asked him, pretty much out of curiosity, who are you? And a lot of people in the beginning were like, oh, he's a reincarnation of Joy Boy. Is not Luffy. Is actually a person living, excuse the bag, is actually a person living inside of the Devil Fruit that's now in control of Luffy. That's why he's acting all goofy and zany. And Luffy's like, no, I'm still Monkey D. Luffy. I'm the future Pirate King. I'm the man who's going to surpass you. I'm going to send you flying, right? And so Kaido was like, good, he recognizes that it's still Luffy, that it's still him, but it's just Luffy trying to figure out how to use his awakening. And what I also like is that this sets up Kaido's awakening, because Kaido says, even in the official Viz translation, he says, what you are right now is what we call awakening, because he recognizes it, because he's like, it will be different. Like Luffy turning his surroundings into rubber is consistent with the Paramecia power, but his transformation is consistent with his Zoan power. And so that's what I loved about even in chapter 1000, I believe it's 45, when he says, the way that you transformed is a Zoan type trait. And Luffy, he has a question mark right after Kaido says that. And so it's playing into that narrative that Kaido also has awakening, which is something that I'm very excited about, because obviously the fight is going to end soon. The Oda has said it's in the climax. The editors have said it's in the climax, but this is One Piece, and I believe even back in Dressrosa, he said the climax of the arc was here, like in chapter 768, and then the actual arc went on for like another 32 chapters. So we're in the final stretches, but Oda could, pun intended, stretch this out longer over a more long-lasting duration. I'm hoping it's not as long as Dressrosa. I mean, obviously it's past Dressrosa. I'm just hoping it doesn't feel as stretched out as Dressrosa, with the countdown of Luffy going back into Gear 4th, the whole 10-minute timer, anything like that. We see all of the second-in-commands of the crew being carried. So you see Zoro, Beppo, and Killer being carried by their respective crewmates, which is Frankie carrying Zoro, and Beppo is being carried by the heart pirates and killers being carried by the kid pirates. And so all of that's a whole parallel. The drug wore off from Zoro. He was seemingly fighting the Avatar of Death, aka Enma, Lord of the Underworld, or just a Shinigami that came for his soul. Because again, Zoro walks the path of the, I believe it's the Hinduism belief of the path of pain. And so one of the paths of pain is hell. So we're going to see what Oda does with that. But yeah, the Rizo putting out the fire thing, I don't think we needed to see everybody's dialogue. We could have gotten the first half about the fire going on, and the second half could have been about where is the water coming from. But we literally got everybody talking about the fire and then everybody talking about the water. So it's kind of redundant. I understood was what Oda was doing. Some people say that it's just out of nowhere. It's a butt pull. Oda could have set this up long ago. I think Oda could have just, when he introduced Rizo, he could have told us in the beginning that he was a user of the scroll no mi. I think we got that in the Vivre card is what his powers is. But Rizo could have said a throwaway line like, "Hey, I can store anything I want in these scrolls," and that would have been okay. But people are calling it a out of nowhere. Some people are even going as far as to say a Deus Ex Machina. I don't believe it's that far. I don't believe it's that crucial. But I do understand the frustration because it is like we could have did this like chapters ago. We could have did this when we first met Rizo Wenzo. He could have said a throwaway line again like, "My scrolls can store anything that I want inside of them." We did see him return Kaido's blast breath to him, but at that time we didn't know if that was just a counterattack or is that really what his scrolls allow him to do. So minor complaint, but I do understand why people don't like it because it did kind of drag out the chapter. And then obviously the Momo needing to hold up Onigashima. Obviously, it's been a community theory that he's going to do what Odin did in the Hour of Legend. Momo will make the flame clouds to hold up Onigashima the same way Odin held up the 9 scabbards for that 1 hour and ultimately threw them. Some people also feel that if Momo fails, Luffy will just turn Onigashima into rubber, so that way it bounces off the capital and doesn't destroy it. So we're gonna see how Oda does with that. I know he already mentioned that he doesn't that he just kind of hunkers down and just writes what he needs to because he has watched certain YouTube videos and he said he's surprised at how much people understand his story and how many theories people get right. And so he said that he really can't write it to try to check out the hardcore audience. He really writes it for just his main cast of readers. And so because he said if he pays too much attention to theory crafters, it might mess up his story. Because we know that he said that if people figure out what One Piece is, he'll just change it. But it seems like he's had a change of heart on that to where he's like, you know what, I'm just going to hunker down and write what I write. If people get it right, then they get it right. But I'm just going to focus on writing my story. And so, Momo might fail in holding up Onigashima, and so Luffy might turn it into rubber, or he might fall down to the Flower Capital and turn the Mount Fuji into rubber and fling Onigashima away from the capital. Anything could happen. Right now, we know Kaido said at the end of the chapter, Onigashima is about to fall. And then we got the amazing looking panel of Luffy holding a lightning bolt. Everybody's calling him Zeus or like a Greek god. This does play into the power that his imagination can do anything. His body is made of rubber. We know rubber does not conduct electricity, as it actually insulates it. So it makes sense that he can hold it based off of that. But again, we'll see what Oda decides to do. This is a good chapter. Obviously not as hype as the last 2 or 3 have been, but definitely a cool chapter, and I can't wait to see what Oda does. This is a break week. Next week we will resume reactions and discussions about it when chapter 1047 drops. So until then, the Film Red teaser trailer did come out, so go and watch that on YouTube. It does have English subs now. Go watch that. A lot of potential revelations in the movie about Shanks and a possible family that he left, or maybe it's an adopted family. We don't know, but definitely cool to see what Oda's going to do. Anyway, talk to you guys again soon. Take it easy. Peace.